When it comes to claiming Social Security at age 62, there's one rule that surprises a lot of people, and this is called the earnings test. Take two people, one making $40,000 a year, the other making $200,000 a year. Which of them do you think gets some of their Social Security checks withheld, and which of them gets all of the checks? Well, I'm asking the question for a reason, and that's because we need to look into each of their income and see how that income, where it comes from, to understand which of them gets penalized in a way. In this case, we're going to say the $40,000 a year earner is making that money from actively working. So W-2 wages, 1099 wages. And this is where the earnings test matters. The $200,000 earner, we're going to say all that money is coming out of an IRA as withdrawals. When it comes to calculating your taxes in the way that we all understand and are used to on the 1040, both of these sources of income hit your income in the same way. However, when it comes to claiming Social Security before full retirement age, so that's anything younger than 67, both of these sources of incomes are treated differently, and you are penalized differently depending on where that income is coming from. So let's dive in and let's take a look here. And now this is super important, and this could possibly change your decision if you're considering taking Social Security before full retirement age and you also have other sources of income. It really matters where that income is coming from. Real quick, I just want to show you what we have going on here. So we have a couple different sliders over here. These will adjust Social Security benefits. It will also be active income wages. And then down here, we'll have other income sources. And on the right-hand side, each one of these bars represents 1 month of the year. And we're just using this to see how much of a Social Security check is either withheld or is going to go towards the tax bill at the end of the year. So let's go ahead and let's map both of these earners that we were just talking about, the $40,000 one and the $200,000 one, and let's map out their scenarios. So we're going to say that the $40,000 earner, their monthly check is $2,000 and their wages is going to be $40,000. Now, as you can see on this slider right here, the withholding starts at $24,480. So that's the line in the sand where any dollar that you make above that line, one for every two or half of the money you make above that line gets withheld from your Social Security checks. And the way that they do that is shown here. So they don't cut it off of each check, but at the beginning of the year, they stop sending checks until that withholding amount is reached. And then the rest of the checks start flowing through. So in this case, someone who's making $40,000 and they might be expecting and really banking on that $2,000 a month Social Security check, January, February, March, no check has arrived yet. And that can really cause a hiccup in your cash flow if that was something that you were expecting. All right, now let's look at how other income affects. So if this earner, this $40,000 earner, had other income, you can see none of the withholding changes. It doesn't matter where that income is coming from, as long as it's not active wages, his withholding stays the same. Tax bill will go up a little bit, but his withholding stays the same. So let's map out the $200,000 earner. So he has $200,000 worth of income, and we said it was going to come from IRA withdrawals in this case. It can come from any one of these sources, and these sources are used to figure out taxation along with the wages. But when it comes to the earnings test, specifically in this video, we're just talking about how much is going to get withheld. None of these sources of income count towards how much they'll withhold. So as you can see here, he's making $200,000 from one of these sources. We said retirement account withdrawals. So that hits his income on his 1040. But when it comes to his Social Security checks, every single one of the $2,000 checks for him still arrives. So this is an important decision for you when you're thinking about when to take your Social Security. If 62 is the age that you're thinking makes sense, you need the money, or you'd rather use the Social Security money to pay some living expenses than draw down from savings or an investment portfolio, that makes total sense. But you want to think about how much your active income is, and not just think about it, but map it out. Find out in your year, this is 2026 right now, find out for your year where the withholding line is. For married couples, it's the same. And so I'll walk through that in just a second, but find out where the withholding line is for that given year. I'm sure that it will slowly shift over time. And right now it's very low. And I think they do this on purpose because this is one way for them to, help their cash flow on the Social Security side. We all have heard, the rumors that it's going to run out and things like that. Well, this is one of the ways that they sort of push the chips in their favor a little bit by tweaking things like the withholding line, how taxation is calculated. And this is ways that they can sort of hold on to more dollars and delay, what they're giving. So let's get into a married couple. And basically how this is, it's looked at from a withholding standpoint like they're two solo individuals. When it comes to taxation, everything gets lumped together. But for withholding, it's two separate scenarios. So for example, let's say we have two different Social Security checks, and then we also have two different active wages here. One spouse, let's say, is working a lot. So we'll call this your. So we're saying this is you, and we're saying this is your spouse. If you were expecting $2,000 a month and you're still working, so you're making quite a bit of money, really anywhere over the $80,000, $70,000 area right now, the majority or almost all of your check is going to get withheld. Probably wouldn't make sense for you to start claiming. Those checks will get paid back to you at 67, but why lock in the lower Social Security rate if you're not going to receive the checks anyway? So if your spouse is not working, or they're working only a little bit, it might make sense for them. At least less of their checks are going to get withheld. And so these are combining both benefits into one. But if we zeroed out your wages and we were just working with your spouse's wages, same thing applies. So both spouse checks and active wages are looked at separately when it comes to the earnings test. But for taxation, your active wages, your spouse's active wages, and any of these other sources of income all get lumped into one pile, and the taxation gets calculated around that. So this is super important. If you're still working and you're looking to take your Social Security benefit before full retirement age, which right now is 67, so anything before that, this earnings test applies, and your active wages are really important to calculating how much of that check you're actually going to receive. After 67, the earnings test goes away. You can still work and earn and receive all of your checks. The tax still applies, and the way that income gets thrown into a bucket and calculates your Social Security tax still applies after 67, but the earnings test goes away, so there is no withholding. Hopefully this was helpful. If you want some help with your situation, we love having these conversations. My name is Ben Edmond. I'm a certified financial planner, and you can reach out at PASNAU, that's pasnaw.com. You can book a call there, or I'll also leave my email in the description below. My email is ben@pasnawinvestments.com, and I'll see you in the next video.